Well, good evening and welcome to the Women's Football Show here on IslandStats.com. I'm your host, Earl Baston, and joining me are members of the Pembroke Hamilton Club, Lady Zebras. We will be featuring a women's team weekly as the league got started last week on Friday night, where this group of this particular team, picked up an 8-0 win. But first of all, I want them to introduce themselves. Sadea?
Good evening. My name is Sadea Dill.
Evening, Earl. My name is Omar Shakir. I'm one of the coaches for PAC.
Okay. Akila?
Good evening. My name is Akila Farbit.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tasnay Fadler.
Okay. Well, first of all, good evening to everyone. Omar, I'm going to start with you. I know I'm going to get to the ladies very, very soon, but I want to start with you because as a coach, your job is to kind of gel things together. This league has been in the making for some time, or wanting to be in the making for some time. Now that it's a reality, how long did it take for you to, number one, encourage the girls or the ladies to come out and train, and number two, convince some of these people to be a part of the PAC family?
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Earl, and thanks for having us on, and good evening to your listening audience as well. As far as PAC, we've been very involved with trying to get the female side of the game in Bermuda into an elevated space, starting with the young girls. So we've been very supportive of the BFA there. So as soon as we heard of the women's league to be formed and to be implemented, we jumped straight on board. We didn't have a single player on the roster, but we decided to just go ahead and make it happen some way, somehow. So that's pretty much how I had an open house, invited everybody to come along. Whoever we knew about, they might ask them if they're interested or were they aware of the team being formed. So it kind of happened very slowly, I'll admit, and it happened very organically, I think is the word I like to use. And we just basically got players as they came in and became interested. And every week we just built on the numbers little by little, and it's been coming along very nicely so far.
Okay. Well, let me jump right into the ladies. Obviously, Sadea, you've been around the PAC family for quite some time. Looking at it, and this has been a long time coming. Women's football again in Bermuda. It's been a long time since we've had, especially at the senior level. What were your thoughts, or what were your concerns when you heard there was going to be a women's league?
Well, I was excited for one, but of course, you always wonder how it's going to turn out, how many teams are going to form, what it's sort of going to shape out to be. Because obviously we've had, attempts in the past and different things that have happened. So you always have that little bit of, you're a little bit skeptical at first. You're like, okay, well, but of course, as always, for me, it was always like I was going to support and be there, and wanting to play is something that's going to happen. So it was more so hoping, but definitely seeing how it was going to turn out. I mean, I was excited to hear when we had 6 teams in the league. Like I was pleasantly surprised, and how many of them were also club associated was pretty surprising to me as well, considering that a lot of women who play, unlike Akila, Tasnay, and myself, don't really have strong club ties. So it was interesting to see that as well, for sure. But I knew always as well, if PAC was going to put forward a team, that's really, really the real team I was going to play for. So, yeah.
Yeah. Akila, let me ask you, why did you pick PAC?
I mean, I started playing for PAC back in 2005, I believe, was when we first had like a young girls team. So I've been part of PAC for a while. I trained with the senior team before that league kind of disbanded, and I go to the men's games. I live in the area. It's I would say it's my club. So it was a pretty easy decision. I hope my son play for them soon as well. So
Okay, all right. And obviously, Tasnay, you're enriched in the club in on the field in many different ways. But you know, playing for PHC, what did that mean for you? You know, thus far.
So I've only ever played really for PHC from the age of 7. So to be able to now be older and get back playing for PHC meant a whole lot. Coming back home and playing back home and just remembering what it feels like to be a zebra was definitely everything.
Sure. Now, I'm going to ask you three, give me your impression of when you walked out on the field on Friday night of the people that were on the bank, on all around the BFA field. What was your immediate thought? And I'm going to start with you, Tasnay.
Honestly, I was like, whoa, Reese and the committee made this happen. Like, they put it through. It was exciting to feel like everybody's back for women's football. It's going to be a good league. It's going to be a great summer.
And Akila, what was your thoughts?
yeah, definitely. It was like, wow, all these people are here to watch. This is awesome. Because I mean, like you said, we haven't had the opportunity to play in the women's league here, really. At least not when it was, the club teams playing in front of the men. So it was just a good feeling.
And there for you?
I mean, I remember when we started warming up, and as we were getting through it, it was like more and more people showing up, and I literally turned to the team and I was like, "This is the most people I've ever seen to a women's game in my life." Obviously, besides like the national games, but I said, "This is like wow!" It was really heartwarming just to see people come out and want to support women's football. I mean, arguably it was probably more than most of the senior teams, the senior men's teams games, but it was truly amazing to see, especially because I remember the women's league when it was last held when I was 16 before I left to go away, and we probably easily had like 25 people there, maybe top, and most of them were our parents. So it was like, so it was exciting.
Yeah. So Omar, for you, your job was to kind of keep these girls calm. Because of what the environment they were in, the unknown, and then you see so many people. What were some of the messages you were making sure that they understood of what to do when you game started?
Yeah, we well, it was a nice atmosphere. I echo all the girls' sentiments. It was like amazing to see everybody out supporting the women's league like that. Me as a player, to be honest, I try not to even look at the crowd. So I didn't even notice it myself for a while. Like I heard things getting louder and louder, but before we started, we just had a quick little huddle amongst ourselves and just reminded of some of the things we've been working on and some of the things we've been focusing on before we got to the game, which is really our unit, being a family, being together, and no matter what happens on and off the field, we're going to do it together as a team. So it was very short, and it wasn't too much tactics, to be honest. It was mostly about just focusing on us as a team. And, the fans will do what fans do, as they say, but, we have to do what we do as a unit, and we stick together. So, yeah, it was short and sweet, but it was an awesome atmosphere.
Yeah. Now, clearly, you played against Social Club. They have quite a few of mature players in their team. Akila, looking at the opposition and the fact that you guys jumped out to an early lead and were dominating the game so early, what was some of the things that you guys wanted to make sure happened throughout the remainder of the game that you stayed focused on the task at hand?
Well, we definitely wanted to work on possession, moving off the ball, keeping the ball for ourselves, stuff like that. Even though it wasn't a high intensity game, oh great, and there wasn't a lot of pressure on us, but we just tried to play our game and work on things that we know that we need to work on for the rest of the season.
And Tasnay, the fact that you played, you've played in college, you're just recently back. Keeping the tempo What was that like for you to ensure that PHC kept the tempo going, even though you spent a lot of time in the social club half?
Um, hmm. I found that it was fairly easy, more or less. Just kind of to work with playing next to Ezzy and playing in the midfield for myself. Normally, I played on the back as a centre back, but having the opportunity to play in the midfield and to move the ball and basically be the foundation that's going forward from midfield to the attack. I feel like we did it well. Me and Ezzy working together, and yeah, I think it was a good combination.
Yeah, and so there for you, making sure that things stay tidy at the back. Because one of the things you want to do, especially when you're on top of a team, is not allow them back in the game and getting a shutout. The defense had to work on that, keeping everybody at the back. How do you manage that?
Well, I think it was a good first game for us to have, especially because a lot of the girls that we have are quite new to the game. So obviously the three of us have been playing for most of our lives, but we have people who just came to kick for the first time. So I think heading into this first game, it was a good kind of opener for us to kind of see what certain players are able to do and handle. And I think from the back, I was able to, see and help guide certain players when they came on or when they started, and just give them further instruction and feedback, especially from girls who aren't quite football minded yet or don't necessarily read the game as well. So being able to be in that position allows me to continue to talk to them, to give instruction where needed, and guidance on the field, and help them to participate to the play in a positive way.
Mm. Omar, how much of it is important that we want to emphasize on results, but we also want to make sure that this league is sustainable. So how much emphasis is put on that with all the team coaches in ensuring that this actually can sustain itself?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's probably $1 million question, really, because I know getting off is a big, heavy lift, getting started. But like you said, to make it sustainable, to keep it going and going at a healthy level and a healthy way, I wouldn't even assume that I had the answer, to be honest. What I can say, as far as we're concerned as a club, we're very focused on making things happen naturally, making things happen organically, building a team from the grassroots up. It's an old saying, but that's kind of how we live by. It's part of our traditions, part of our community and culture way of doing things at PAC. We want to make sure we do it right, for longevity. So if we start off right, hopefully we'll end off right. And what's right for us might not be right for somebody else. So we want to keep it within what we know, what we believe in, and what we think we're doing well. And that's what we try to do so far. And a big gauge for us is how much the ladies are enjoying it. From the very first session to now, we're really keeping our finger on the pulse there between the coaching staff to make sure that they're enjoying it, not to make it easy, but making it enjoyable and lovable, and so they want to come back every week, every week, every week. So, we think that will go a long way as far as sustainability, giving them a platform, a good foundation, and try to be honest with them as much as possible. And even as coaches, we tell them we make mistakes too. So we're a family, we get through it together, and we push forward day by day. So hopefully we have success with doing it like that.
Sure, sure. Now, for you, Akila, you guys have gotten off to a good start. Obviously, 8 girls against Social Club, but there's going to be some teams that you're going to be up against. It's going to be a lot more competitive in that regard. And how do you plan as a quote unquote senior player with these other two here? How do you plan to make sure, because Sadea has already said you have a lot of young people in the team or first timers in the team, and it may not go as well as you would like it. It may go well, but it may not go well. So how do you plan to ensure that those young people in the team are staying as encouraged as possible to keep trying and keep doing the things that you've been working on?
Yeah, so I think, well, it starts in training, obviously, and trying to, I guess, not like you don't want to scare them off. You don't want to dampen their spirits and stuff like that, but you also have to push them at the same time. And so we try to talk to them as much as we can and show them different scenarios of things. So if this happens, like you could have did this, or I'm right here. I'm always going to be at this angle. You should be at this angle type thing. Um, and it's the little things like that because some of them are not football minded. Some of them haven't played football before. So, but just encouraging them, giving them constructive criticism, and making sure that we support them as much as we can. That's pretty much all we could do. But as a team, we're very, we get along really well. So I think we're gonna do well.
Because Meg's smiling because she knows I'm coming to it. The next question was, throughout your, you recently finished in college or you're playing college football, but there's been disappointment. How have you managed yourself through the disappointment in college that now you can utilize in Bermuda?
I think that playing college football definitely taught me a lot to manage my expectations as well as manage the things that I can control and that the things that I can't control just be. I think transitioning back into local football and things of that nature will help me more as a leader per se now. As one of the senior players, like Akila just said, a bunch of the girls on our team haven't played for a while or are new to the game. So being able to just bring my experiences back abroad, back to Bermuda, giving them a different sight and part of just Bermuda football, I think very much of it for me.
And so, let me ask you, because it's very interesting and it's also encouraging when people like take themselves out of the football world and do a regular job and then come back into it. So how much of your day-to-day job kind of allows you to, when you do go to training, allows you to stay focused in football, but also have that open mind of what you have to do on a day-to-day basis?
I mean, football never quite left. Even when I moved back and started my job here, I mean, I've always juggled a lot at one time. So even though in the last 3 years I've been, coaching at PHC, I've been training with PHC's men's senior team as well, staying fit. I've also been playing with the under 17s a bit for PHC, so it's never quite left. And then I've also been inside training as well. So I guess it's really no different. I mean, it feels a little bit like school. You go to school, you get your schoolwork done, and then you come and do your extracurriculars, and it is what it is. So, so not too much different. I mean, like I said, I've always had, my work is with my work, and I time manage very well. So I'm able to focus on what I need to when I need to. And every day of the week, I'm usually at PHC field anyway for something. So.
Well,
this is actually my easy period. Twice a week now, so this is my easy period.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Akila, I'm going to ask you because you have a little one. How do you manage that time? I mean, okay, we have guys that play the game. They have children. They have rules and responsibilities as well. But as a mother, it's a little more. So how are you managing personally?
I mean, he comes training with me. He chills on the side. He plays. He does very well playing with himself, so I don't have to worry about it a whole lot. But he interacts with the team. Hopefully, doesn't distract them too much. But yeah, it can be difficult sometimes. But right now, this is pretty much the only thing that I'm doing outside of work. So it works out. I'm able to make most of the trainings and bring the kid with me.
Okay. All right. And Omar, managing those things with the players having motherly duty and all sorts of other things to do. How are you managing them in if they can't train or they're only been training for X amount of time, and ensuring that they get the full scope of what the team is trying to accomplish week in and week out?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's any more challenging than any other team you have to manage. It's always life, right? Life throws things at you, it's commitments you have to deal with. So we just try to keep track of it. The ladies have been an excellent job keeping us up to speed on if they have to miss a training session or if they're going to be away from the sessions for extended period of time. So yeah, they've been doing us a big help in that regard. So planning and keeping up to speed with who's available per session or who wasn't able to make it on certain days has been a little bit easier because the ladies have been very helpful with keeping us abreast. So, round of applause to the team for that. I have to give them props on that one. I'm not used to that on the male side. Got to chase up with the males a little bit more.
That's why I asked you, because it's a little more demanding on the other side, on the female side. Again, some guys do have the responsibilities and the rules of being probably a single dad or whatever, but you more so see it on the lady side, and it's something different that obviously you're going to have to manage with, as long as they're open and honest with you. It's one of those things that can actually work.
Yeah, I think the phrase you used just now is what we try to live by so far as being open and honest with the team, try to show them what we need from them and also what we expect from them. And we just try to work things out. If someone has somewhere to be or is, a sentimental occasion for them, we try to, not be too rigid, but also hopefully that they can make it up and make it to the next session, things of that nature. So it's been going well. We don't have too much complaints so far. I mean, it's been no more to deal with than a normal squad that has, lives and things of that nature they have to manage. So yeah, I can't complain too much. It's been a good experience so far.
Sure. And today, after the win on Friday, what are now your expectations for, first of all, you for the season and your team?
I definitely don't want Friday is done. Let's start there pretty much. So Friday's done. I mean, moving forward, I don't think that all the games are gonna look like that. So I know that the standard that was brought on Friday needs to continue to rise for our team. And we need to go to training. We need to get things done in training, continue to grow and develop to be able to face harder competitors that are coming up in the next few weeks. So I think it's important that our level that we bought on Friday doesn't drop. If anything, it needs to continue to get higher because the opposition is going to be more demanding starting with this Friday, and we know that. And so it's something, we need to just focus on what we do well, continue to develop and grow from that, and just take each game one game at a time, figure out how we're going to play our game, and just, manage expectations going into everything.
Sure. Makita, the same question. What are your expectations personally, and then for the team?
Yeah, so to piggyback off of Sadea, we don't want to create a full sense of security just from that game. So just building on what we have and getting better every game would be a goal for us.
Tesna, are you back with us? No, she's having technical problems, but again, for Omar, you the coach. After the game, because obviously it'd be a lot of excitement. You just won big. In their feet on the ground, what is the personal role of the coaching staff for this week and the message that they want to get through to them? It's not going to be like that.
Well, you took the words right out of your mouth because that's exactly what I told them in the change room after the game. But no, the coaching staff, Coach Robert Bean and Coach Antoine Augustus and myself, that's something we actually discussed all week long, even before the game, and as well as after the game, looking at how the school ended up. That we wanted to make sure, like Akila mentioned, we wanted to judge our own level and just make sure we improve every week. So if we're working on things and we're doing badly, then we'll be a bit more, coming down on the team as it were. But if we sort of lose goals or lose games from things that we haven't necessarily worked on yet or haven't worked on a lot, then, we're not going to be over the top with the team. So we have to manage the expectations really and just sort of build every week from our foundation. Like the ladies mentioned, we have different skill levels and age levels. So we have a different few gaps, as it were, and we have to manage the team as a unit. So as long as everybody's working hard and working together, that's our main focus. So yeah, the first game was sort of one of those situations where you score a few goals and you say, look, just think of it as still nothing. Play like we're still 0-0. So we're gonna keep our feet on the ground and take every game as it comes. But we know full well the next game is going to be much more challenging for sure.
Sure. And Akila, what would you say to the players at Young Men Social Club? Because despite the loss, you want to encourage them to stay in, because you want the league to survive, especially the first year. So what would be encouraging for you to tell them, following their first game? Because they'll be disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, anybody would be disappointed, but for them, keep pushing. If anybody else wants to play, go join that team because they need some people, I think. But they have the technical ability. They have kind of the physical. They're very physical. I think for them, it just comes down to, I guess, fitness and maybe them being a little older. But I think they could hang in there with some more training. Hopefully, they got some more people. And as the season goes on, I think it'll get better.
Mm. So, then, what advice would you have for the team, Young Men Social Club?
I think although this scoreline was a little rough on their part, we had a really enjoyable game. I'd like to say against them, they were really good sports. Their energy was great the entire time. As Akila said, I talked to a few of them, and I know they started training a little bit later than us as whatnot. So I think just to reiterate what Akila said is that as the season goes on, I think it'll definitely get better. I mean, your first game is kind of people getting the rust off and kind of figuring things out, and that's with any team. It's just that some obviously we've had a little more time to kind of kick that rust and figure things out. So definitely keep pushing, keep showing up, because like I said, it's no league without these teams. So definitely appreciate every person that shows up to play because it's truly encouraging. And so I would just applaud them for showing up, because that's the first step in just getting the league, and is having people who are actively trying to participate.
Sure. And I'll come back to you, Tesne. What expectations do you have of yourself and your team for the remainder of the season?
I didn't quite hear you. Can you say it again?
Okay. What expectations do you have for yourself and then your team for the remainder of the season? I think she's still having she's having technical issues. It's over. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining us here, joining me here. We look forward to continuing to support the Women's Football League, and we look forward to seeing you guys back in action again at the next scheduled match. And one of the most important things I've learned from this tonight is you gotta have fun. Win, lose, or draw, you gotta have fun. That's the smile with the two on the side. Yeah? If she's smiling, then everything's okay. Again, thank you very much to the PHC Lady Zebras. Good luck for the remainder of the season, and good luck in your next match. Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.